Think about this for a second. August 2023, just one summer, and in the space of about 90 days, almost $1 billion left the European football market and ended up in Saudi Arabia. Karim Benzema, Neymar, Sadio Mané, Riyad Mahrez, N'Golo Kanté, names who, just a year earlier, had been sweating it out on European pitches in pursuit of Champions League glory, were now stepping off private jets in Riyadh and Jeddah, signing contracts most footballers couldn't even dream of. It felt like the entire balance of world football was being rewritten in real time. And the message Saudi Arabia was sending to the world was crystal clear. We are just getting started. But almost 3 years later, something strange has happened. The biggest stars in Europe are no longer rushing to sign. Some of the names who did go aren't there anymore. The world's most expensive coach is gone, and the bold project that was supposed to rewrite global football is now entering a very different chapter, one nobody seems to be talking about. So what really happened? This is the real story of the Saudi football empire. To understand where things stand today, we have to go back to where it all began. The date, December 30th, 2022. The place, Riyadh. In front of a room packed with cameras, 37-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo was being unveiled to the world in an Al Nassr shirt. His contract was reportedly worth over $200 million a year. The biggest deal in football history, and in truth, that single moment laid bare the plan an entire country had been quietly building for years. Behind it was Vision 2030, Saudi Arabia's massive national project to diversify its economy, build tourism, and become a global hub for sport and entertainment. Football wasn't just a small detail in this plan. On the contrary, it was the heart of it. 6 months later, in the summer of 2023, the floodgates opened. Saudi Pro League clubs spent a record $957 million, bringing in 97 players in a single window. According to Deloitte, only the Premier League spent more that summer. And these weren't aging legends chasing one last paycheck. Benzema had just won the Ballon d'Or. Mahrez had just won the treble with Manchester City. Kanté had won both the Champions League and a World Cup. Mané, Brozovic, Koulibaly, Henderson. The list went on and on. 4 clubs led the charge: Al-Hilal, Al-Nassr, Al-Ittihad, and Al-Ahly. And 75% of each of them was now directly owned by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund. This wasn't an experiment. It was an investment at a scale football had never seen from a single nation. And by the end of that summer, the question in football circles had already shifted. Nobody was asking, "Is this real?" anymore. Everyone was wondering the same thing. How far is this actually going to go? But football is a strange game. Money doesn't decide everything. The game has its own way of weighing every big project on its own scales, sooner or later. The first sign came almost immediately. In October 2023, just weeks into his new life at Al-Hilal, Neymar suffered a serious knee injury playing for Brazil. It would keep him out for nearly a year. By the time he was ready to return, the season had already moved on without him. In all, Neymar would play just 7 official matches for Al-Hilal, scoring once, providing 2 assists. In January 2025, by mutual agreement, his contract was ended. He flew home to Santos in Brazil, the club where he had started his career as a teenager. A €90 million transfer, finished in less than 2 years. To be fair, this wasn't really anyone's fault. Injury is part of the game. But the mark this story left behind was telling a different kind of story. And this wasn't an isolated case. In October 2024, Roberto Mancini, the Euro 2020 winning coach, brought in to lead Saudi Arabia's national team on a reported $25 million a year contract, left his role by mutual agreement after just 14 months. In 18 games, the team had won 7, drawn 5, and lost 6. Mancini himself later openly admitted that taking the job had been a mistake. And Mancini put his finger on something nobody else was saying out loud. With so many foreign stars now taking the pitch in the Pro League, around 60% of Saudi national team players were no longer getting regular minutes at their clubs. Then came the transfer market itself. In the summer of 2024, Saudi clubs spent around $605 million, a drop of more than 30% from the previous year. From the world's second biggest spender, the league fell to 6th. The big names linked with moves, Mbappé, Salah, Vinicius Jr., all signed new contracts in Europe instead. Salah alone turned down a reported £150 million offer from Al-Ittihad and stayed at Liverpool. The momentum had clearly shifted. And another reality that had been quietly sitting there from the very beginning was now starting to be talked about. Even in matches featuring some of the world's biggest stars, the stands inside Saudi stadiums often stayed half empty. So is what we're really seeing here the collapse of the Saudi football empire? Honestly, the truth is more interesting than that. Because alongside the setbacks, something else was happening. In December 2024, FIFA officially confirmed Saudi Arabia as the host of the 2034 World Cup, with the highest evaluation score in FIFA's history, 4.2 out of 5. In October 2025, the Saudi national team qualified for the 2026 World Cup in North America, their 7th appearance at football's biggest tournament. And then, in June 2025, Al-Hilal beat Manchester City 4-3 after extra time in the round of 16 of the new FIFA Club World Cup in Orlando. The reigning English champions, Pep Guardiola's side, and the team that knocked this giant out was, interestingly enough, a Saudi club. So what we're seeing isn't a collapse. It's more like a change of direction. The Saudi project is slowly stepping away from chasing aging European superstars and moving towards something more sustainable. In 2024, 9 Saudi Pro League clubs posted a positive transfer balance, a number that had been just 2 the year before. Younger names are now signing: Theo Hernandez, Darwin Núñez, Matteo Retegui, Kingsley Coman. The salary structure remains enormous. Ronaldo signed a new contract in 2025 worth around €200 million a year, plus a 15% ownership stake in Al Nassr. But the strategy underneath it has changed. So the Saudi football project isn't ending. On the contrary, it's growing, maturing, much sooner than most of us expected. Looking back, maybe the most interesting thing about this story is how it forces us to rethink what success actually looks like. The world expected a Champions League-style competition built around Europe's biggest stars. What's emerging instead is something different. A long-term plan built around the 2034 World Cup, a national team trying to develop its own players, and a league slowly figuring out what it really wants to be. And honestly, while preparing this video, the one thing that kept circling in my head was just how fast football can change. 3 years ago, everyone was asking if Saudi Arabia was taking over football. Today, the question is completely different. Will this project mature into something lasting, or was that early excitement the brightest moment it will ever have? So, what do you think? Is the Saudi football empire crumbling, evolving, or just getting started? Write your honest take in the comments. I'll read every single one.